The real winners, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, are the folks, are the companies which actually maintain their IP, keep the data within their environment, train the models for the models to use the data within the environment, and then also train the employees to make the model better and better by feeding data, by asking more questions, by making better use cases.
Welcome to Season 5 of the podcast, Manage Self, Lead Others with host Nina Sunday. This season, we go deeper into innovation, creativity, AI, and the invisible patterns shaping workplace culture. The future of leadership starts with the questions we ask. Join us to explore how to lead with emotional intelligence to elevate team culture and stay future ready.
I guarantee you'll want to sit up, listen, and perhaps take notes during this episode with Mahesh M. Thakur, CEO and C-suite coach, who's guided leaders at the sharp end of global business, from Silicon Valley innovators like Google, Meta, PayPal, to Fortune 500 heavyweights, Walmart, JP Morgan Chase, John Deere. Mahesh is a former executive with Microsoft, Amazon, Intuit, and GoDaddy, and brings battle-tested experience from the front lines of big tech. In this episode, Mahesh M. Thakur explains how companies are getting AI adoption wrong, why boiling the ocean fails, and why every organization now needs a chief AI officer who can align data, models, and leadership vision into one cohesive strategy. Let's jump right in, where Mahesh introduces that new C-suite role, the CAIO.
But that's where most CEOs, CIOs, CTOs, CAIOs, all these folks are getting it wrong because they are trying to go, boil the ocean. That's not where you're going to get the output from. You have to be very narrow and very focused initially to make sure the technology works for you. And then you start to expand into more use cases as you start to see the initial ones succeeding.
Mahesh, I just heard you use a new C-suite title, CAIO. CAIO.
Yes.
How many
AI
companies
officer.
need to get a CAIO these days that don't already have one?
So that's a great question, Nina, and that's the word we are getting into. So
Yeah.
oftentimes what happens is that back in the day, companies used to have the chief technology officer. Okay.
Aha.
Then they started to create the chief information security officer, who's specifically responsible for the cybersecurity of the company. Then there came the chief data officer, who's in charge of really getting the data, or organizing the data, leveraging the data the right way across the company. And now here's the chief AI officer who's going to make sure that they have the right data, the right models, the right frameworks in place to put the AI strategy together for the company, whether you're using it for increasing productivity or basically enhancing their customer workflows or simply improving the customer experience for the customers using the products, because AI is everywhere. So the chief AI officer really has that responsibility to make sure the AI strategy is cohesive and that the AI strategy is aligned with what the product officer may be doing, with what the technology officer may be doing, with what the CEO wants, with what the board wants, and with what the company should be doing to remain competitive 5 years down the road. Because if they're not thinking like that, they're going to be out of business very soon.
Well, that's right. I mean, we're looking forward with trepidation to the world really flipping in the next 3 years. So we've all got to get on the AI bus. And here's the thing. In the past, we've had, we talk about the innovation mindset. We've got the fixed versus growth mindset. Is it more important now than ever before that leaders are actually educating their teams to actually remove this fixed mindset and whatever the habits that comes along with that description, and really getting people to embed innovation and innovative mindset in their daily operations? Your thoughts on that?
So, Nina, what is happening is that for the folks who've taken that position of, hey, AI is a strong tool,
Yeah.
it has become an accelerator. Okay.
Right.
So it is unfortunate right now, whoever you are, you're going to get even more exposed. So if you had that growth mindset, you're going to accelerate, and everybody will know that you have that mindset. If you
Right.
had a fixed mindset, you're going to get exposed on that, and everybody will know that no matter what, with or without AI, you're going to stall. That
Oh,
gap is
okay. It's
becoming
putting a
that
spotlight on people, either for
exactly.
good or ill.
Yes, yes, because you know what? I'll give you an example. I'm coaching a company for the last 6 months and doing the AI advisory work with them. So they had a chief technology officer who basically did not move the needle for the company for over 2 years.
Right.
Said another way, this person had his own policy and governance framework that they kept repeating to the extent where the AI strategy did not happen. They had every single thing go through a microscope. They wanted to make sure they made the process strong, they had the right guardrails in place. But guess what? There was no AI roadmap. As a result, finally, the wake up call was when the CEO found out they lost more than 15% of their market share to their nearest competitor. And
Oh,
this happened because the competitor went in to do the right thing, right time using AI. So they got
right.
ahead, right? So that's when they found out that the CTO, who they knew had some limitations, now those gaps became all the more evident. Those cracks in the wall became all the more visible. So
Yeah.
that's what AI does to you. It's a superpower given to you no matter who you are, where you are, in what position. If you as a leader don't make a good use out of it, if you do not produce a good plan, and if you do not get your teams aligned, it's on you. What it is, it's a superpower, it's a force multiplier. And over
Yes.
the next 3 to 5 years, the leaders and the companies who made the right strategic use of it will actually be miles ahead compared to their competitors. That's why keeping your data secure, training your employees, picking the right model, those are only foundational, Nina.
Mm.
What's going to come beyond that foundation, or what is being built on top of that foundation, is actually the strategic AI pillar, the culture where there is alignment on where and how will we apply AI, and finally getting the ROI, getting the return on your investment from that. There is an approach which I talk about, which I coach, which I advise to my clients, is called the test and learn approach. In that test and learn approach, Nina, you will find out how to go from investment to ROI, getting your money's worth quickly in months rather than years. So that takes the drama and the suspense out and gives you the results that you deserve, that your teams deserve to see. Because the flip side of that is if you keep doing processes and you keep making investments, but there is no ROI, your team is now in a panic state. They think that one way or the other, we're going to get fired. We'll either get fired because the company ran out of juice, or we get fired because AI did not produce the output. They
I see.
shouldn't be the ones who actually have to suffer. It's the leadership team who has to take ownership and they have to lead the charter. But the step one is to create that roadmap, and step two is to bring alignment. Said another way, there is no roadmap if there is no alignment. And you have to be courageous enough to put yourself out there and say that I'm going to lead the wave. I'm going to lead this wave with AI and with my teams aligned with me together.
So with getting this alignment, what's the biggest mistake that leaders make?
With regards to getting alignment, the biggest mistake that leaders make is that they don't include or involve all the different layers in the
Right.
decision making. Okay, they'll just come at it and announce headlines. Hey, we're going to go big on this model, or hey, I'm going to eliminate these 25 people. Why did he do that? Just communicating headlines is going to break the trust and the confidence that the team has
Right.
in you, because
Mm.
the team is always thinking, well, if you didn't tell me, you're going to replace me. If you did not include me in that room, you're not going to include me in the next payroll. So you're causing a lot of anxiety and fear amongst the same people who actually need to support you on that mission. So, Nina, when I work with companies, I show them how to increase their RPE, which is revenue per employee. RPE
Right.
is basically your overall revenue divided by the number of employees you have. And I show them how to focus on growing the numerator, not shrinking the denominator.
Well, that's really interesting. I've never heard of RPE before, revenue per employee. And just tell us a little bit, just drill down a little bit more into that, because I think there'd be a lot of people listening that go, that's an interesting metric to focus on.
Right. So I'll tell you first about the unfortunate situation. The
Right.
unfortunate situation right now is that some of the companies have invested big in AI, okay, and they don't know what to do with it because it's not like you're going to get out in the way they've done it. They're not going to see the output for a year, 2 years, even 3 years. So what that does is it creates pressure from the shareholders to show you've now invested so much or you're continue to invest so much. How are you going to cut the costs? And they go attack the employees. So that just erodes trust in the
Right.
leadership. That's a big problem. Now, instead, if they basically focused on not going so big on the investment, but making a small investment, that's where the test plus learn culture that I'm talking about comes in. They don't have to make those huge investments, Nina. What they have to do is spend the time to understand how a small investment is going to increase their revenue or lower their cost or both in a certain area. When that starts to happen, you're now starting to set the whole approach as part of the culture. It's like you're trying to signal the change of the culture from being a technology company or any manufacturing company to a company that is testing and learning what is working. So when you teach that to employees, they all become prudent in not just making blind investments. They are trying to be mindful about where they invest, whether it is $100 or 100,000 or a million or $10 million or even 100 million. They're being mindful where the investment is going and what's going to lead to the ROI. When that becomes part of the culture, you don't need to eliminate the employees. You actually need to get them all focused on what do you do to ultimately either increase the revenue or improve the margins. Because once that improves, your employees are all justified, your AI investments are also all justified, they can coexist.
Mm.
Sometimes I also call this model as, how the venture capitalists think. You may now test about 10 things, but even if two of them work, that upside is going to be far more than anything you lost on the other eight, which did not pan
Right.
out. That's how VCs think about investing in startups. That's how we should think about taking courageous bets on what may work. However, there is a process and there is an approach which I advise companies on to make sure that becomes part of the norm, part of the culture, and they all understand how we are supposed to work with AI. But it all starts first with transparency, then with alignment, and then with keeping everybody involved. Because if you bring them in, they feel safe, they're going to be all in. And so rather than telling their friend or having somebody else refer them to a different job, they're going to be focused inward and making your mothership a big success.
I like your metaphor of the taking the venture capitalist attitude of you do 10 things. If two of them work, it overrides any expense you've spent on the other eight things that didn't take off. So is this one way that companies can embed innovation is to just allow uh, people to come up with ideas and actually give them approval and a budget to actually go and explore it? Is that one way to get this innovation happening?
Yes, you can actually have some kind of a budget to say this is your investment. So when I work with companies, I do several offsites to understand and help them align with their top three or top five areas that they want to focus on, and
Mm,
then mindfully bring in the investments. It may be with AI, it may be with a simple technology implementation, or it may actually be with a decision that's actually not being made by executives for whatever reason. So get them in a room and sometimes save 2 years worth of effort in just 2 days of offsite. You know,
mm.
that's where you get people to look at each other, truly align. And if they have to disagree, it's okay. But getting to a decision and locking down what that investment looks like and how do you get there, that's way more important than letting some of these conflicts fester and make that whole management situation a disaster.
Now you're coming to us all the way from San Jose, is that right?
Yes,
And you've had
I'm in the heart of Silicon Valley.
yes, so you've worked in Silicon Valley, you've worked at Bing, Amazon, and other places. What is it about working there that has shaped your mindset that maybe people in all corners of the world would not be aware of?
So our mindset is where we are always curious. What is somebody else thinking of? What are they building? How are they thinking about a problem? How are they approaching a particular industry? For us, we are never used to being told that's an industry you should not touch or you should stay away from this problem. We are always so curious and we are always known to go in there and tinker with different industries and different problems. So I think I like the hustle here where there's, if I go here to any conference, I might be there on stage for speaking or I'm there on the panel. You learn so much just by being there because it just brings together a lots of creative problem solvers, lots of folks who've always challenged the status quo, sold their company for tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars. So when you're surrounded by those kinds of people in the room and the VCs who are pumping millions and billions nonstop, you get to learn a lot. And it's just I feel I'm privileged to be a part of the Silicon Valley. So the right AI guideline is, well, what kind of tool to use for what use cases? But at the same time, Nina, there are ways to keep your information private and create and train your own large language models. So instead of using a GPT-4, a healthcare company internally can have its own model fully trained. Because with each day, the cost of those GPUs, processors, hardware is continuing to lower. So it becomes more and more easy to have something trained, whether you want it on premise within your offices or on Azure or AWS cloud. The real winners, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, are the folks, are the companies which actually maintain their IP, keep the data within their environment, train the models for the models to use the data within the environment, and then also train the employees to make the model better and better by feeding data, by asking more questions, by making better use cases. That's the best way because then you have not given your IP out to a third party and you're at the risk of your information surfacing with in your competitor's query when they're actually out there just trying to figure out where they are and all your information starts to show up in their queries. That's not the situation you
Well,
want for yourself and for your company.
so if they were going to recruit either a contractor or recruit IT experts to join the company, what is the title or the job description or the task description that they'd be looking for?
They are looking for folks who are familiar with model creation and model optimization. So let me
Okay,
give you an example. The company Meta, which was formerly Facebook, they have
yes.
their own models called Llama. So Llama is an open source model. You can use it as is, or you can take it to your own environment and customize it.
Oh, I see. So these models
Right?
do exist, and you just need people that understand how to input these models, their own models.
I'm also a part of some other venture firms, and I'm an investor myself. And I've been a VP who's managed a $600 million budget. So I can absolutely attest to the fact that you're hiring people with the right mindset. That's very important. I firmly believe that if they have the right mindset, which is the growth mindset, and they have the right attitude, you can learn any skill. In today's day and age, those skill sets can be added.
Well, Mahesh, we are coming to a close, but I've got a quirky question for you. I remember historically there was a billboard that Google put up that had a mathematical equation. And they said, if you can resolve this equation, contact us and we might be interested to consider you for a role at Google. This was in Silicon Valley. So, are there any sort of tactics like that that companies have used or could use to actually attract the people with the right mindset, as you've described?
I think one of the things, yes, Google. I remember Google's hiring is a very high bar, and I have coached a few leaders at Google, so I know what they think like, what they do, and I've also coached people to find a role at Google, and so I know the hiring bar there. Meta is similar, and one of the things, Nina, if you really want to be in charge of hiring the best, is to basically approach doing this as a panel interview. And the panel interview, I'll go back to my Intuit days. We designed a process called A4A. A4A was assess for awesome. So you put this person in a room and you are actually giving them an assignment where they come in prepared to present. During that time of their presentation, there are at least 4 different leaders approaching this leader who's interviewing with different category of questions. They could range from creativity to thinking on their feet to, critical thinking, or even questions where they're supposed to analyze on their feet. So what that did was it pressure tested the individual. Okay. Google also does similar panel interviews now, so does Meta. So in that panel interview format, a lot can be derived about, a lot can be assessed about this candidate that you're talking to assess how they're doing. Many a times we would end the meeting right after the panel interview because we're like, we got enough signal one way or the
Yes.
other. And then that panel interview would also give us insights as to what should we poke further when they go for the next few rounds of one-on-one on the same day. However, the decision was made by end of day, which was the best part of the process. Imagine this, right? A candidate is on site at 11 in the morning. By 5 p.m., at least internally at Intuit, we made the decision. We made the call. Google is similar. So it was so good. As a company, you made a decision on the right talent. You were all aligned and the data was fresh. You just met the person. So you're going to make a
Yes.
good decision on the same day. And at the same time, the candidate, at the latest, they'll know the next day the outcome.
Well, Mahesh, this whole conversation has followed a very interesting pathway, and I've enjoyed every second of it. How can people find you, Mahesh?
Great question, Nina. People can find me on my website, maheshmthakur.com. I hope you can put that URL in your show.
I certainly
And you
will
can
put
look
it in
me
the
up.
show notes. And it's Mahesh M. Thakur because there's another personality that is just Mahesh Thakur.
Correct, Nina.
Yeah,
You remember that. So there's my middle initial there, maheshmthakur.com.
yeah,
You can also you can just Google me or look me up on LinkedIn.
that's
You
right.
can find me there. I'm based here in Silicon Valley, San Francisco being the nearest airport. And I fly out to various locations throughout the US, Europe, India, the Gulf region. I fly to various places for keynote speeches and
Yes, you
for my
work in the Gulf
workshops.
region as well. Yeah. Mahesh Thakur, it is a true privilege to spend time with you today. Thank you so much.
Pleasure is mine, Nina. It's been such a wonderful experience being on your show today. And it's been a great conversation that we've had today. I'm excited for today and look forward to this show reaching the masses.
Thank you so much, Mahesh.
Take care. Have a good one, Nina.
What a masterclass from Mahesh Thakur. Clear, practical, and rooted in real-world leadership. His reminder that AI is no longer a nice to have, but a leadership imperative really hits home. And if you took notes, you've probably already started thinking about your own test and learn opportunities. To connect with Mahesh M. Thakur, that is spelled MAHESH-M-THAKUR.com, and the link will be in the show notes. Until next time, stay curious and keep leveling up.
Manage Self-Lead Others has launched the book. It's available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. Not just a collection of transcripts, Nina Sunday adds her own reflections about each guest conversation. Plus, you might like to join Nina on her Substack channel, ninasunday.substack.com, for candid, behind-the-scenes conversations with 2 sharp AI hosts who riff, question, and bounce around ideas sparked by the published podcast episode. And if you're looking for a conference speaker or workshop facilitator who can up-level your team in Australia or around the world, visit brainpowertraining.com.au or ninasunday.com. Until you tune in next time.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here, wishing you a very happy half-off holiday because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. And Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day, yeah?
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.